Hot off the presses, it looks like New York City has nominated a socialist to be the Democrat nominee for mayor. Obviously, we'll be going up against the independent current mayor, and obviously the Republicans will throw one in there as well. But New York City has voted blue like forever. So does this mean New York's getting a socialist? What does it mean? What is coming? How bad is this movie going to end? Because, folks, it's going to end bad. The question is how bad and how quick. Let's talk to Matt and Dion. Matt, you here first, buddy. Did you see the news? Socialist in New York City.
I did. What a bunch of idiots. Like, I mean, hey, at the end of the day, there are a number of people, Dion, drink. There's a number. I say it just so I know he gets parched easily. But there's so many people that left countries that had that type of government. They left there and they went to New York, and their parents remember. Their parents remember what it was like. So even if they've been in New York for 20, 30 years, their parents remember. They didn't have that in New York. That opportunity that was created for them not by policies like this. So, again, from my perspective, you guys have whatever government you want. That's their nominee, right? And so I think you're going to see a massive outpouring of people that don't want that. Because they recognize exactly that system doesn't work. That system has never worked anywhere, and that it won't work now. And now you've got places like, these loons in California talking about the gangs fighting ICE and protecting their turf. Like, where is the respect for law? So if these guys want to nominate a socialist, by all means, but don't complain in 4 years when you have more garbage strikes and you have more murder and you have all of the things that go along with socialism, because they're not taking the guns.
Well, so there's a couple of things. So again, this was really hot off the press. This shocked me. It looks like when you slice the data, who voted for him, white, college educated. He won that.
Of course.
What do you mean? That's like
fully indoctrinated.
Yeah, they're not college. I'll say it. I'll say it very plainly, so even my dropout friends can understand. College is brainwashing. It's brainwashing. If you can look at what the news has talked to us about in the last 2 years, and you don't think that those kids are getting brainwashed, you aren't paying attention. It's pure brainwashing. And you might get a little bit of education on the process. But I'm sorry, no one with a female studies PhD is going to do much of anything in this world. She's going to be making my coffee. That's largely, and she's going to have $250,000 in debt. So I'm not surprised at all, because the other problem that many of the people just getting out of college have is that they believe because they have an education that they're smarter than everybody else.
They're entitled. Okay.
Well, right. I think it's even more than entitled. I think that they actually believe that they're smarter than a guy who didn't get out of the 9th grade. Okay. I've talked to them. They actually believe it. And can they write better than me? Absolutely. Absolutely. But I have to remind them. I said, it's guys like me that hire people like you, and I don't hire people like you. I was an executive for years with hiring powers, and I didn't hire people like that. I hired people that said, hey, listen, I want to come here. I want to learn. I want to work as hard as I possibly can, and I want to be part of something cool. Those are the people I hired.
Dion, what were your thoughts when you saw this?
Well, I think it's inevitable. I think so. I live in a state where they just repassed an even worse version of a law that's 100% racist. You can get $150,000 towards buying a house that can be forgiven as long as you're not white. And now you can make up to 120% of the median income. So it's not about being low income or being economically disenfranchised. It's just about not being white. And some really, really loose laws on how you can prove that you qualify. The literal newspaper clippings from the 40s, if you wanted to. So I see that happening. I think we have people that watch our channel like Silver Eagle that are, very far left leaning, and every argument is how he actually said in one comment that the border was never open. So they're completely deluded about what's been going on. He said in another video that we say Democrats bring out socialists, and he says it's not true, but we literally have a Democratic Socialist Party nominating somebody to come in who is a socialist, so we can put the logic together that it's actually happening. So then let's couple this with the other big Wookalar in the room with us, AI. So the current trend is 85 million jobs are going to go away, but about 60 million jobs are going to be created. But are people going to transition into those types of jobs? How many workers do you see going out to do these type of jobs? So people like Andrew Yang are probably going to get more popular, and he ran on a platform of UBI. So UBI might be a thing, which more people on UBI means more people voting for socialism because they will increase the UBI amount. So I think it's almost inevitable. And me personally, not being, conspiracy theorist, I'm not going to fix the world. We can't do it. But we can position ourselves to benefit from what we could see happening. So I've always ran on the idea of I don't care if it's a Republican or a Democrat in office. I have a plan for either one. So what is my plan if the socialists start getting into office more and more? I'm building millions of dollars in equity. At some point, if this state that I'm in goes so far left that I anticipate property seizure, rent freeze, not rent control, tripling or more the property taxes, it sucks. I sell everything. I walk away with many, many millions of dollars that I put into different forms of assets that won't be seized. And I geo arbitrage to a place, possibly for a while, a state. But eventually, this entire country could go that way, especially with the change in AI. And like I said, I can't fix the system. I'm not trying to. I'm trying to tell people that if you buy cash flowing assets that benefit from inflation and you position yourself to be ready for something stupid like socialism to happen, and you get out in time, you can benefit from it.
Yeah, there's a lot here. I'm going to go where I disagree with both of you. I think is again, and I've studied economics for a long time, and there are fits and starts of socialism and all of that throughout history in different cities and states. It never ends well. It always blows up. Does it take a decade? Maybe. Does it take 5 years? Maybe. Right. We're going to see how. And again, let's be clear. He hasn't won shit yet. He's just the Democratic nominee. He's got the independent existing mayor to defeat, and a Republican has no chance. So it's basically those two guys fighting it out. But the chances that he win are certainly above zero. But when I look at where New York is 4 years from now with him in charge, you're not going to have a transportation system. He's talking about making buses free. How do you repair buses when they're free? I mean, that just doesn't work.
They can't repair them now when it costs money.
Yeah, exactly. And then you're talking about taking police off the street and putting social workers. Oh, that's going to be a disaster. I mean, are you freaking kidding me?
But you hear person after person after person defending that, saying that cops aren't trained for these certain situations, and the world is a happy place, and there's never going to be anybody violent when that social worker shows up. Just like
go see Portland
sports.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, go see Portland.
It's worked out really well in England. They get stabbings all the time because they don't let their cops carry guns. Like, it's just absurd.
No, it's going to end spectacularly well. It'll end on the front page. That'll be, a death. It'll be the death of socialism. And the other thing is, I think we're missing out on is capital flight. If this happens, and again, the only way you get free buses and fixed cost grocery stores and all this other nonsense that's just not palatable is you got to raise taxes. But you're only going to raise taxes on the quote unquote rich or wealthy. And I don't know about you guys, but the folks that own private jets, they're a little bit mobile, and they're just gonna pick up and go somewhere else, right? You're going to be the number one real estate agent for Florida, right? This guy, and then it happens. New York goes to a shithole like the drugs of the 80s or whenever that was.
70s.
Then you throw this guy out, and the whole movement goes far right, and pretty soon you got a Republican leading New York. So if you want to be a Republican in New York, wait 4 to 8 years, you got a chance, because this is just going to end horribly badly.
Yeah, this is not going to go well. I mean, but we'll see how it happens. It's been a downward slide for New York. New York is not anything like it was a decade ago or 2 decades ago. It's nothing like it was. It's massive homeless problem, and I mean, this is where you find most of the ultra blue cities have this massive homeless problem that they can't fix and then they want to make a bunch of other stuff free and programs and things like that. The downside is it has to be funded. And, a bunch of people are just going to go, yeah, so I'm not going to do this anymore. And what you're seeing is, look at what, granted it's a big company, but look at the hedge funds that have moved from New York to Florida.
Oh, it's crazy. And Chicago to Florida. Yeah.
And Chicago, this made a dent. It made a dent. And it's not that it's going to be 1, it's going to be 3, it's going to be 5. And then they're going to say, look at all the talent that we have down in that area, because they all live off each other's talent. Like they all hire each other's people. Like, oh, you work for Kinsey? Oh yeah, come on over. Like, work for us. So that's how it works. And then all they're doing is moving that site somewhere else. And then they're going to have to create a bunch of incentives to get people back, because that's exactly what Republicans do. They want business there. They recognize it's better when there's jobs being created. Shocker. And that's largely what's going to happen. So I feel bad for the people of New York, but you know what? I also, I kind of sort of feel bad for Yankees fans, because they've spent $4 billion with no championship in the last, 16 years. And it looks like that trend's going to continue. And so whether you finish 2nd or 9th, like the Red Sox, it doesn't really matter. You spend $4 billion for 0.
Yeah.
That's just me.
I don't know if I would do a debate, because it's not a subject I care enough about, I guess. But I'm wondering if people can let us know in the comments. Pro-socialism. What are your arguments?
Well, so socialism goes into effect, again, I've studied this, when there's a great wealth divide. You can look at that today. But really what you have is you have a loss of hope, right? And the American dream has always been a cornerstone of our society. And basically the American dream, in my opinion, is anyone, any place can do anything, right? You could be a 9th grade dropout, become a multimillionaire. You could start with $250,000 in debt and become a multimillionaire, right? You could do all of these amazing. You could start in Section 8 housing and become a multimillionaire. We talk to millionaires all on this channel all the time, and our community is full of people who believe they can build wealth. But if there's enough people out there that watch videos from these other doom channels and their response is, glad I didn't buy for the last 5 years, they just want handouts. They just want free stuff. They like if your lot in life is you hope the government gives you something for free.
Exactly.
That's a bad look. That's not going to end well.
I will share it, and I probably shouldn't, but too bad you were up visiting, so now I'm going to out you. I actually have a family member that is on an economic planning committee for a rather large city. And hearing her ideas, I was mortified. I was like, they're looking for tech. And I said, okay, I was a tech exec, 15 years. I'm that guy. Give me your pitch. And I hear the pitch and I go, wow, that sucks. She goes, what? I go, that's awful. I said, everything you're doing is is trying to set up. Here's all these free givvies, and they're going to go away eventually. And then the business isn't self-sustaining. How long can you give those givvies? Like, you can't give the givvies forever. I talked to a really good buddy of mine that I grew up with, self-made guy. His business is worth well into the 8 figures, construction guy. And so I said to him when we were talking in September, I said, he goes, what do you think is going to happen? I said, honestly, I want Trump to win, but I think Kamala is going to win. And I said, and if Kamala wins, stuff is going to shut down. He goes, shut down? He goes, because he built this company over the last 5 to 7 years and built it beautifully. Brilliant CEO mind, brilliant entrepreneur. And so, somebody that, we get to jump on the phone and joke about how basically were bankrupt in 2008. But it was an awesome conversation. And I said, did you see that in the business? He goes, it's crazy. He goes, basically October to December, it was dead. He goes, we heard nothing. He goes, every project was delayed. Every project that was being talked about wasn't being talked about. He said it was dead. And I said, and then what happened? He goes, the moment that he took office and started, he's like, literally when he won, we got a couple phone calls. And then that momentum just continued. And he said, and it's been nonstop since. He goes, we have grown another 50% since he was elected because people are now so pro-growth and believe that the economy will be handled the proper way. It's still expensive now. We're still taking hits from tariffs and things like that, especially on big building stuff. But he's seeing massive explosive growth Still.
Yeah, it's funny. I talked to a bunch of executives in California. These are tech executives, and all of them kind of said the same exact thing. Several of them had business plans to pull back.
Yep.
And as soon as the election went down, they're like, threw those shit away. We're going for it. So it's wild to see. And again, back to New York. I mean, I just don't get it. I don't understand. It just has to be like the indoctrination again, which is something I'm not comfortable saying. Again, college educated whites are voting for this.
Yep.
I guess you're right. I mean,
brainwashed.
It's not what I went to. It's not what I went to college for sure.
Mike, some of the greatest people in the country built New York.
Oh, no question.
Some of the greatest people and some of the greatest immigrants in the country built New York. New York was built. New York was built, but it needed the right framework to be built. And sadly, almost all those guys are no longer the guys anymore. Now it's all these soy boy, re-indoctrinated, brainwashed, soft, no real goals other than I'm going to make the world a better place. Sure, hand me a brick because right now I'm trying to build a house. I don't do brick.
Yeah.
And so
that's dirty.
No one has any skills. Everyone's soy. Everyone, make sure to get their special fruity tooty lattes in the morning. It's not reality. It's not reality. And it's going to be reality for all these fools when AI replaces what they do because they're replaceable. The bricklayer, they make robots. They're a few $1,000,000 a piece. And so they're still going to hire the bricklayer who they can get for 80 grand in the union. So all of those jobs are going to be safe. All the manual labor jobs are going to be safe. But the guy sitting in his office crunching numbers, hey, Dion, how long did that take to do that entire review of a massive channel with tens of thousands of videos and shorts? How long did that take?
Minutes at max.
4 minutes. So I got bad news. If you're a numbers guy, if you're sitting down and crunching the numbers or you're trying to look through the data, I got bad news for you. AI is 1 billion times smarter than you. It's 1 billion times faster than you.
So go ahead, Dion.
Mike Zuber, you're an economist. When was Venezuela one of the richest countries in South America?
Oh gosh, I want to say the 1950s.
2009.
Wow.
It was, a little over 15 years ago. A couple decades, maybe. It was one of the richest countries in South America. Then it switched to socialism.
And fell off a cliff.
Still there, even after the decline. So that's my biggest concern is New York can completely fall apart and can just absolutely lose all its funding, not be able to fund anything. Money can move away. People can become homeless. Social problems are all over. And city after city after city will duplicate it because we have an example of other countries that have tried it, other countries that have recently tried it. And it isn't working.
No, I'm reminded of a quote. I might screw this up, right? Hard times create hard men create easy time create easy men create hard times. We're about to see New York with a bunch of easy men create a hard time, but I do believe the next step will be hard times create hard men. And the only question in my mind is how long. And forgive me, it wasn't Colombia. Where is Millie from in South America? He came in and basically started cutting everything, throwing away all the different organizations. Oh God, this is important. Is it
Argentina? Is it Argentina?
No. It might be Argentina. It's either Argentina or Venezuela or whatever it was. But basically, this individual came in. Right, his whole mantra is he's taking a chainsaw to government, and that's just an example of where this is going to go. Right, the fact that Venezuela is not there yet, it's coming because the people will eventually revolt and find somebody to come in and make it better. So New York's going to just have to experience it. And the last thing I'll say about New York, I said this about San Francisco a couple of years ago, is somebody's going to make $1 billion in New York, right? Because what's going to happen is property values are going to crash, big businesses are going to leave, that shit's going to be worth pennies, and then at some point somebody's going to buy it and make $1 billion. That's just how this ends.
It was Argentina. I was right.
Yeah. There you go, Argentina. Thank you. But again, I think there's an example of where this goes, and the only question is how long. And I think Argentina probably was in a bad spot for 40 years, to your point, Dion.
Yeah,
So maybe
I mean, I
Venezuela's
was a
got
bit
another
wrong. It was
decade and a half.
earlier than 2000, but I mean, they were one of the richest countries in the entire continent, and it went downhill.
Yeah.
They still haven't reverted back. Like it's almost like it's a poison that once it's in, you can't get rid of it, because the more destructive it is, the more reliant you become on it.
Of course. That's
Again,
the idea.
I think
Where do you think
Argentina.
UBI comes from?
Yeah.
Like, that's the idea. They want
Yeah.
you more dependent on them to provide you your next meal. Because if you take somebody's, like, what's the saying? I can fish for you, or I can teach you how to fish, and then you can fish forever. And socialism's the exact opposite. I can fish for you forever, and you can depend on me for your food. Pass. I'll do my own. Thank you.
Yeah. This is not,
one of my
I
favorite
feel,
statements. One of my favorite statements is socialism and veganism are great unless you like food.
Dion, where can we find you?
Right here on YouTube, Dion Talk Financial Freedom, where I'm usually wrong about historical facts.
That's funny. Matt?
Lumberjack Landlord, 9 p.m. Thursday nights. I don't know if I'll be doing, I think I'm on the road this Thursday night, so we'll see if I actually do a live, but where even AI knows that I'm right.
Guys, you're amazing. Take care.